Welcome back to the program. Time to check in now on our focus group, the group that's been monitoring each week of the campaign. This is a group of voters from the Sydney seat of Reid. As we mentioned yesterday, this is one of the most visited seats by both leaders in the campaign. Scott Morrison was there again just yesterday, held by the Liberals with a margin of 4.7%, but that was the margin when Craig Laundy was there. He's not recontesting, so a tougher fight for them. Both Bill Shorten, Scott Morrison will be back there a lot more, you can be sure, over the next 9 days. Now, this week's focus group session was recorded on Tuesday night, so that's before last night's final leaders debate. But they did begin with a discussion about the second debate, the Sky News Courier Mail People's Forum we held on Friday night. There was one takeout moment, you'll recall, from that encounter that ran right across the media for a good 24, 48 hours. It was the Space Invader moment.
I really didn't like that standover thing either. Bill Shorten referred to it as space invading.
Space invader, that's it.
Can you look me in the eye and tell you're going to increase the taxes?
You're a classic space invader. What I want to do...
And it's not so much that it's, you know, Scott Morrison standing over Bill Shorten. It's like, it's the same with me. If anyone does that, it's such an intimidation tactic that it's psychological warfare, essentially, you know, and I don't like that at all.
Yes, I do agree that I don't like the intimidation that Scott Morrison has portrayed, but I also don't like the fact that Bill Shorten seems to be very defensive.
Scott Morris want to talk to him, but he never talked to him looking in his eyes. Where I come from, if the people you talking, if not looking in your eyes, it's people not honest.
Little dorky and not quite...
A little what? A little...
Dorky.
Dorky. It made you feel dorky or made you feel Labour or dorky?
Labour's.
Dorky.
Yeah.
It's like a shy boy. And I'm thinking, if Bill Shorten is our leader of Australia and he goes to, say, America and meet with Trump, who is a bigger bully than Scott Morrison, then I don't want America to portray our leader to be such a weak figure.
I think the portrayal of the whole thing in this context makes you feel like Liberal society is a bit more aggressive and Labour is a little more defensive, like David has mentioned.
They look like two children, you know?
He really stood in his way and he mucked him up like in the big green teeth of ScoMo. So I felt sorry for Bill.
Sorry for Bill. And how did it make you feel about Morrison?
I thought that it was a bit of a childish thing. You're a Prime Minister, you don't do things like that.
Yeah. For Labor, it was humour. It made me feel humoured. I think that he dealt with it. That's the way he's going to deal with that kind of tactic from Liberals, is just use humour.
This is addictive. I don't have to wait for this.
I don't think he felt intimidated by it.
No, and it made you feel about...
And Liberal annoyed, because I don't...
You're a bit annoyed.
I didn't like the way he look in my eyes. And
right.
When I look at that, I feel bullied or intimidated from a Labor point of view. I think it's unnecessary to debate like that.
I can feel that Bill is frustrated.
You know, we're quick to jump on Bill Shorten not responding with strength, but if he was to fight fire with fire and stood up and started standing there and hanging over him, you know, like we would be appalled, absolutely appalled. But it's okay for Scott Morrison to do that, and you know, I guess having the height advantage as well is a big thing for him there. But it made me feel really aggravated that, you know, someone that's supposed to be in this position of power is using tactics like that at a debate. Like, it's something, like, it's a debate.
So who won the Space Invaders? Did anyone win the Space Invaders interaction?
In my opinion, Bill Shorten.
I agree.
But anyone else who won Space Invaders? I know for you, Martha, Morrison won Space Invaders. I get that. Yeah.
I don't have either one of them as winning it, because what I saw in Bill Shorten didn't want to bite back. It also looked a little bit like he was deflecting and dismissive, and I understand. So I didn't like the behaviour of either, but so I couldn't really claim one to be the winner.
Interesting. The reason we look at this, it's what the major parties do. These sort of focus groups of what are called soft voters. Sure, they might be leaning one way or another, but they're still there in play to be won over by one side or the other. And this is why, for example, Labor pushed that Space Invaders moment so hard over the weekend after that moment on the Friday night debate. What about all the time the leaders spend trying to soften their image? Each day of the campaign, you see the pictures throughout the day here, every night, and in the paper the next morning, cuddling babies or animals. Does this stuff work? Let's take a look.
I'll go now. Yeah, she's out. We'll pick her up in a week.
Okay.
Yeah, he knows how to hold the baby.
He knows how to hold a baby.
Yeah.
Does know how to hold it.
That's family man.
That's my
Family man.
Yeah.
Whoopee.
What do you mean, Whoopi?
I was like, what's it supposed to be telling us?
Makes you feel what?
Touchy.
Made you feel touchy.
Yeah, we say I've got kids.
Relatable.
Seems a little bit more genuine. I don't know.
Okay. Made you feel?
I like his sense of humour, you know. I like, oh, I'm going to take the baby with me, you know, like...
Oh, that wasn't...
That's funny, you know, and like, it's... Kidnapping's not funny, but...
No, with a little bit of a sense of
yeah,
humour.
I appreciate that. I think that's a great quality to have, yeah.
Here we go. Oh, there we go.
Oh God, I'm taking a photo of this and sending it to like
Yeah, I got it.
Where are you going?
This is that's a change from babies in elections.
Makes you feel?
A little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Why? Because...
I don't know if that's just him. I'm trying not to be cynical, but he's doing it because, you know, it's different to babies. Like it's and then he's holding it and he's sort of smiling, but I don't know if he's comfortable.
Makes you feel?
Que animalaba que he like koalas.
Okay. Makes you feel?
I put, being honest, my personal opinions, very normal, not related to the election.
I just can't... infected?
Infected.
Not in a good way.
It was in the paper. He's proposing funding for protecting our certain species. Our,
Okay, well, they should have a slogan under that.
No, but that's fair. But that's fair enough. Saying that you've told me.
I thought it was hilarious that he said, "Oh, this makes a change from holding babies."
I just thought it was funny.
Campaign, yeah.
Now, cuddling babies and koalas aren't the only things that leaders do to soften their image. Both Scott Morrison and Bill Shorten have, well, pretty impressive wives who've also been rolled out in this campaign to tell us why we should vote for their husbands. But does this work? Does hearing Jenny Morrison or Chloe Shorten speak in glowing terms about who their husbands really are? Does it swing votes? Let's take a look.
I want people to know that Scott is he will fight for you. What things are on your mind, he will listen to you, he will take them on board, and he will go into bat for you. He is tenacious. He's stubborn and he is doggedly determined. So if he believes in something, he is going to go straight down and fight for you, for what you need and what you want for a better life and for your families. He's a good, honest, compassionate person. That's the Scott I know.
She's taking what can be perceived as a negative quality and she's showing how that could be. She's trying to show the authentic side to him, and this is, yeah, sure, this is what he does, but it's because he's driven and he's...
And in a word, how does that clip make you feel?
I don't know. It's... I think they're trying to humanise.
I think it's a very supportive message from the wife. But then again, I think that is a very biased opinion.
For me, she didn't sound convincing.
The way I've interpreted it is that they know where the fault lies, or they know that there is a grey area, so they're perhaps trying to be proactive in explaining it or in justifying it.
The wife kind of hesitated to think of the answers, to think of the good things to talk about her husband. Yeah. I mean, even as a wife, aren't you supposed to, you know, talk good things about your husband in a natural way.
Yeah.
It seems like it's scripted.
It's staged.
That he's stubborn.
You need to think about it. So if the wife can't even...
Just say easygoing instead of stubborn.
Yeah, so if the wife can't even trust the husband, how can the nation trust it?
Who think it works? Who think it worked to an extent? Show of hands.
Yes, because...
Only Martha? You're the only one who thought it worked?
Let me say a little bit about the fellow that I love. Caring, smart, funny, gentle. He's a wonderful dad, a terrible dancer, and a very proud bulldog owner. Brisbane is where Bill got to know my elder two children when they were very little. He would take them to parks and to South Bank, to beaches. He would patiently play and listen to them for hours and hours. In our life together, that's what I've seen. I've seen what a great listener Bill is, especially to those without power.
They hit the nail on the head by saying, for people has no power.
That kind of like how it helps you get to know the person rather than this potential leader.
Who you are at
if you
home
told
is
her
not
that,
how
let's
you
see,
always are at work.
Yeah, exactly.
you know, think is the art.
It's a political strategy.
Sure.
Just to attract people who are undecided, and they'll say, oh, his wife's really nice.
And she's talking about things that's relatable to every Australian.
He sounds like a lovely man.
But may
Does
not be
that
a
make
good...
him a good Prime Minister?
Right.
Yeah.
Some of the best business owners in the world are not the nicest people. But they're very good at their business.
I think it actually pulled me away from it even more.
If anything, it pulls just a little bit closer to Labour just because of the confidence she has in her speech.
For both of these videos, I've written "taken for a ride" down. These things are completely pointless. They're just, of course, they're going to speak amazing things about their husbands. Like, duh. It's pulled me away from my interest in Australian politics. That's what this sort of crap does for me.
So clearly not everyone's a fan of this sort of thing. A final one, Clive Palmer. Now, in case you missed it, he's spending a whopping amount, an estimated $50 million advertising himself and his United Australia Party in this campaign. Now, clearly it is having an impact. The party's polling reasonably well, between 4 and 5% nationally. It scored him a preference deal with the LNP, of course, which will probably help Clive Palmer win a Senate spot in Queensland. So what do these voters think of the Palmer Party? Let's take a look.
He will not leave me alone. I'm getting text messages still. I'm getting... Yeah, the texts are just so frustrating.
Has there been any, like, TV advertising that we've noticed in the past week?
Too many.
Too many.
Clive Palmer.
So we've seen some Clive Palmer.
I was on YouTube last night watching a couple of videos, and at the start of every single video was a Clive Palmer ad. I couldn't believe it.
Something really stands out for me, which is unusual from Clive Palmer. Anyway, it says here, make interest on home loan tax deductible.
Make interest on home loan tax deductible.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not sure. Could be too good to be true.
In 2 weeks' time, you know, when I phone you up and ask you what way you voted, you know, am I going to find out? Do you think maybe any of you will have gone in that direction and not with the major parties?
Probably.
I wonder.
Like for Greens or some other party.
Well, for one of the other parties.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. But it's definitely not going to be Clive Palmer's party.
I mean, in the last few weeks, I've been hearing a lot of candidates who's anti-Semitic comments or, you know, talking about people being racist and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of getting nasty.
What intrigued me was Labor's pledge to slash emergency department wait lists. Like was what we discussed before. They promised 500 million to drive down waiting lists, waiting times. In emergency departments. So that really attracted me because I think it's very important.
That's still undecided.
You are still undecided voters, just if you had to do it now.
I would love to not do that at all. I'm very on the fence. I'm still very, very, very on the fence. But if I have to, like, you're forcing me. Yeah. Okay, well then Labor. Yeah.
We're going to come to that, right? So you really do feel on the fence, but you're going Labor, right?
It's very close, and I think climate change is still sort of pulling my heartstring a little bit towards Labor.
I put Labor.
Yes.
I cannot deny there's some good issues about ScoMo.
I have just chosen Liberal.
You've just chosen?
If it's not Bill Shorten, maybe I'll go for Labor, but at the moment, because Bill Shorten is the Labor Party candidate, and he's not doing a good job.
Still undecided, but leaning to Labor.
Just because I have to vote today, I voted Labor.
There you go. Let's bring in our moderator you saw there, Jerry Barone, once again. Jerry, thanks for joining us again this afternoon. What's the big takeout from you? We just heard at the end there. It sounds like more of them, if they had to vote today, are breaking Labor's way. Is that your sense of it?
It sounded like that in the clip, but in fact, it's very even. The group is still split 4-4. 6 of them are entirely undecided. And the election is there for the taking in the final week. These people, notice that clip when we offered them, would they vote for Clive Palmer? Dead silence in the room. The answer is no. They're actually quite involved. They're quite serious. They want a good reason to go either way.
And they're looking at specifics. You know, we saw one of them refer there to Labor's hospital pledge, another to Clive Palmer's interest rate thing and so on. The nastiness in the campaign last week with candidates falling like flies for various indiscretions, that obviously resonated as well. What was fascinating, though, the cuddling babies and animals and hearing from the wives. Is that swaying their votes?
I do think this is important. There are 2 things going on in the broader election campaign. There's the policy side and there's the personality side. You can't deny either. But the policy side is like a shadow boxing match. Neither side can really land a solid punch. You know, it's all jabbing because, you know, on the coalition side, it's we're better at the economy and don't worry about the services. And on the other side, it's we'll give you the services, the economy. So that's 2 split. And in the absence of that, I think people do go to personality and they're looking for something. As you can see in that clip, as my mate Pete, the truck driver, says to me, he says, who are they? Are they real? I still come back to, we've got Shorten, who is Mr. Wooden. Shorten is Mr. Wooden looking down at his notes and making arcane policy points. And that's why he actually did score, I think he did score a point when earlier this week he was talking about his mother. And on the other side, you've got Mr, well, what would you call ScoMo? He's Mr. Puppet. He seems nice and cuddly, but you can almost see the strings. Is he really a nice, friendly guy? So I honestly feel if someone will reveal the reality of themselves in this final week, that could be the difference.
Fascinating. Jerry, thank you. Look forward to the final instalment next week. We'll talk then. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Back with our panel, Catherine Murphy and Malcolm Farr, right after this.